Well, Eric, thank you for being here.
Happy to be here.
And can you tell us your name, full name, and what do you do?
Sure. The name's Eric Sarich. I do just about everything in the film industry, from editing to videography to acting to writing to producing to directing to art department, uh, anything. I just started directing. I directed my first play this summer,
Okay.
and I directed a sizzle for a feature.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
First time, so I was very nervous for that because that's the end, be all. That's the end of the road there. It's like the direct. That's the one I'm most afraid of.
Exactly. So right now you do the camera, you do the sound.
Yeah,
You're a professional sound guy, right?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So can you give us like an overview on sound and the relationship between the camera and the audio?
yeah. So sound obviously can ruin your project before camera can. You can have a shitty camera. You can have everything. You can have things out of focus. You can have a really old, small digital camera from 2001 and be totally fine. But as soon as you have crappy audio, it takes the audience out of it. So it's very important to have good sound. And that's the big difference between the two, though, is with video, you kind of get a finished product where you have something to show. With audio, it's more of like you don't want anyone to notice you. So you really don't have anything too creative. It's more of you do creative techniques to A, capture clean audio, and B, stay out of the way.
Okay.
That's where the creativity comes from. But in my opinion, it's far more satisfying to have like a finished product to show, and that's why I like video over audio.
Okay.
And audio is a little bit of an isolating job because you're in your headphones, especially on the smaller sets. You're either working alone or you have maybe one other person. Big sets, you're lucky to have 3 or 4 people, where a lot of the other departments have more. It can be isolating as well.
What kind of audio equipment you have?
So I have the same philosophy for video as I do audio, and that's keep as small and lightweight as possible.
Okay.
So I use a Mix Pre Sound Device, Mix Pre 6 Mark II. That's my mixer, and I have that in like a military grade fanny pack. Very small, not the big harness. I don't want any of that. And then I use a boom. Boom is king when it comes to audio. I have like the Sennheiser MH50, and then I also have the 416, which is kind of like, those two are like very industry standard as far as sound. Sennheiser is concerned. And then I have lavaliers as well. Sennheiser, I believe they're called like the 512Ps. And those come with the more slightly upgraded lavs. The lavalier mics are slightly more upgraded on those. And those are good, but I like the Rhodes that we're recording with now. I'm very impressed by those because those record an isolated track within the transmitter itself, which is a huge value, because when you're doing wireless, very often you'll get some transmission problems and something might cut out or there might be some feedback. So it's very valuable to have that clean track as backup, just recorded internally on your transmitter.
No, absolutely. That's why I have I have one backup, two backup. This is the boom, is a backup. This is a backup, and I'm recording on the Zoom H5. Do you have something like the Zoom H5?
So that's what the Sound Device Mix Pre is.
Okay.
It's just it's got some more channels to it, and it's shaped a little different, but very similar.
And do you use the phantom power? Can you explain the phantom power to us?
Yeah, so certain mics require phantom power. So my shotguns, both of them require it. When we do podcasting, I forget what mics we use for Sam's. The Sheer MV40 or something.
Okay.
And those require phantom power. But other mics, other condenser microphones actually don't require it. Stage mics, a lot of the time, like ones for like a rock band we'll be singing with, don't require it.
Okay.
So you would look that up before, because you don't really want to be sending phantom power to things that don't need it.
But it gives a better sound, doesn't it?
Not necessarily. Like literally, like some microphones you don't do that with, no matter what. My lavaliers, you you send those in through as a line, not microphone, but you don't ever power it because the lavalier, the transmitter and receiver have battery packs, so it has its own power.
I see. Okay.
So yeah, the power is just whether it needs it or not to operate. It doesn't make it sound better or not.
Okay. So, for example, this device that I have here, it's the Zoom H5.
Correct.
It has underneath it, it has like 2 slots for condenser microphone.
It could be a condenser microphone, but you could put another microphone in there that does require phantom.
Okay.
It has options. So I'm assuming, I'm not too familiar with the Zoom H5, but I'm assuming that it has the option to turn phantom power on.
It does.
And certain mics will require that, and other ones you wouldn't want to do that with.
How can you make sure that the audio is not clipping?
So I got a great answer for that. Your Zoom, I'm not sure if the H5, but newer technology is coming out, and they got something called 32-bit float.
Okay.
So think that as like HD for sound.
Okay.
So with that, there is no clipping anymore. So as long as you have relatively new technology, there's slightly bigger files. So people give you shit about that, but with the new computers out, that's non-issue. So I am huge on that. Why would you not use new technology? I know some of the old school purists don't like it, and they try to keep it between -6 and -12 on their recording. But if you shoot with this new thing called 32-bit, it's not even that new anymore. 32-bit audio, it's the bit rate now is 32. It essentially, you could put this next to a jet engine, and then it'd be huge, so loud, but in post you could bring it back down, and it wouldn't lose like anything.
Okay, and you want to bring it back down? You want to keep it between, I think, -12 and -6?
Yeah, there's something interesting because that's for, you got decibels, and then you also have something called LUFs, like LUFs. It's like loudness something thing, and you want to set that. So it's kind of convoluted. I don't even know all the science behind it. I know that when I am making a YouTube video, I send it to Audition just for one second, and that's just to get the normalize the audio tracks to be like -26 LUFs or something for YouTube, and it's like -23 for Spotify. They're all like right around the same thing. But yeah, so decibels, there's more to it than just decibels is all I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah. And I don't understand it all, and I'm sure I'll learn more and more over the years as I do more post audio work.
Okay.
But yeah, traditionally when you are recording into a mixer, you want to keep the audio levels around -12 to -6.
Okay.
But like I said, you get 32-bit float, you don't really have to worry about it. So, because actors start to just scream sometimes out of nowhere. Like, you'll know it happens, but it's hard to like, be getting the right level to justify these huge discrepancies in volume.
Yeah, because if your audio clips, then you can't use it.
You're fucked.
Yeah, that's it. You can't use it. You have to redo it again, and it's just a headache.
Right.
Yeah, so might as well keep it low. It's better than clipping, because clipping, that's it. You're done. But if it's low, you can maybe
add some gain later on.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And that's a maybe. I mean, you can add gain, but I mean, it's limited as well.
Well, here's the thing. Like, ever since I got into working on pro sets as audio, even it's like reality and stuff, so it's smaller one-man band, but I've always had 32-bit. So I've never like given too much of a fuck about audio. But I did have one project though. I did a pilot, or was it a feature? I think it was a pilot, where the editor was using old versions of Adobe Premiere. I guess back in the day, you could buy it outright and you didn't have to do the subscription.
Yes.
So he was using that old one because he didn't want to pay the subscription. He said, I bought this outright, but because he was doing that, he wasn't able to access my 32-bit. And he had some sections of the movies where it was clipped. And I'm like, I've never had clipping before. And it took us some troubleshooting to realize. I'm like, wait, how old is this Premiere? It doesn't even look right. He's like, oh, it's from like 2014. I'm like, hey man, I did some research. I was like, yeah, you need to update Premiere and your audio will be fine. Your just software couldn't handle it.
The rule is, if you're using old technology, keep it between -12 and -6. And if you're using new technology, then you don't have to worry about it, because
you really don't. Still try to keep it around that -6, but you don't. You'll be cool. I know like the newer Zooms will have it. Like if you get like the I think they're called like F8s or F6s. They should have it.
I'm not sure if this one has that.
The H5 might be too old for that. I'm not sure, but I think even these Rode wireless things that we're recording on, I think they even have it.
No, maybe. Yeah.
I think they do.
I think you have to go to the settings and you have to change it.
I think it's automatic, man. I really do. And if it's not, it should be. Like, I just don't understand why there's some resistance to this. To me, it makes no sense. I think it's because you got some of these old mixers that are pro on the movies, but they've got old mixers that didn't have it as a it wasn't on those mixers at the time, and they had $6,000 mixers, and they're like, well, fuck this new technology, like just be good at your job and you don't need it. And I get that, but at this day and age, as the newer mixers are coming out, they should all have 32-bit.
Yeah, and there's too many things going on. Like somebody like me, I do the camera, I do the questions, I do the sound, it's just too much sometimes.
You're right.
It's overwhelming.
You're right. I agree with that. Like, I know exactly what you mean, especially if you're being a one-man band.
Yeah, exactly. This is it. I'm a one-man band. But it's worth it. I love it. That's why I do it.
And it gives you an advantage being versed in all those different areas of filmmaking, because someone can hire you to be more than just their DP. It's like, hey, man, I need you to just kind of shoot this entire thing for me. And like, you're not going to be like, oh, I need a sound guy, or like, I don't know how to do this stuff. It's like, you'll be able to do it. Like, oh, I can handle that. So it actually opens you up for more jobs.
So now I know, how to play with lights. I know how to do the boom mic, all the equipment that you see here. I do it
But what's your favorite thing? Camera?
The camera.
Yeah.
Definitely is.
Even over acting?
No, well, I like the camera. Camera is my passion. I like to be behind the camera, and I like to be in front of the camera.
Okay.
So anything that has to do with the camera, I mean, the sound, the lights, everything else I had to learn because I'm doing this. But it's the camera. I love photography, and I love cinematography. I just like that look, the movie look, the film look.
Yeah. There's something, something beautiful about that. Just like having one intentional shot and all the lighting for it, and then camera movement. I'm a big fan of camera movement.
Yeah.
It's great.
But then it's expensive too.
Yeah.
It's a really expensive
Slow.
hobby.
Yes, it is expensive, especially if you get caught up in all the latest gear.
Exactly, because if you want to pan the camera, if you want to move the camera, you need to buy gimbals, or you can do handheld, but it's not going to be as good. I mean, it depends on what you're shooting.
Right.
But yeah, it could be extremely expensive.
And then when you're shooting, that just makes things go that much slower.
Yeah.
Bringing in a dolly track or setting up the gimbal always is going to have problems. They're finicky.
Do you have any gimbals?
Yeah, I have the Ronin RS3 or whatever it is.
Okay.
Yeah, I used it yesterday, actually.
Okay, so I was going to ask you, do you use it a lot?
Not a lot.
Okay. So RS3 is the big one, right?
Yeah. It could hold, it should be able to hold your C80 and maybe that with that 70-200 lens on it, but that's probably about its max weight.
Okay.
That would be pretty
I think it could
heavy.
go up to maybe 15 pounds?
I think it's 20.
20 pounds, okay.
15 or 20.
That's a lot.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
And they just came out RS4 recently. I saw a video on it. Not that I'm looking to upgrade it. I was just curious what the difference was, and I forget what it was, but it wasn't enough to be more than an upgrade.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I'm thinking of getting one.
Well, you have one up there.
I have one, but that's not.
It's a knockoff brand, or no?
No, it's I don't know the brand that well, but I bought it. It's cheap. I bought it for like $2.99. It's good for the 90D.
Yeah.
And it's good for the 5D Mark IV.
Yeah. Okay.
And I don't think it's big enough for the C80. The C80 needs the big Ronin. Is it
yeah. And it needs that extra like space too. Yeah, because that's a big camera.
Yeah, but I've seen a lot of people using that gimbal with this camera, and I was thinking about the fly cam.
Yeah,
it's either that or the gimbal. But I think I'm gonna get the fly cam because
is a fly cam a steady cam with a thing that goes over your back?
Well, yeah, you can add that to it.
I mean, there's some real expensive steady cams out there.
They go for like 15, 20,000.
Some of them, yeah.
These are the really, really
Yeah.
professional ones. See, that's the thing. Remember when you said you try to keep it simple?
Yeah.
This is what I'm trying to do. Because every time you want to do something, you'd be like, oh, I need this. I need the gimbal. I need the fly cam. I need the vest. I mean, you can't do everything.
No, you can't. So what you do is you'd be like, well, hey, it'd be nice to have that, but I don't have that. This is what I do have.
Then if you want to have it, it's a lot of money that you have
Or
to
you
spend.
rent it for that day.
And it doesn't end.
Just rent it for the day.
Or you can rent it for the day. See if you like it. If this is something that you want to use on a daily basis, then you can go
But
ahead
I
and
mean, you
buy
got
it.
to think about it. You only have so much space in your apartment to store shit. And stuff depreciates in value like the day you buy it.
That's true.
So it's like if I was gonna get one of those steady cam things or whatever, I just rent it. Again, it's probably like $100 a day depending on what it is. So some of them, it's like either that or you spend $4,000 on it or whatever. It's like, and then you have it laying around collecting dust. You're trying to rent it out. It doesn't go out that much, and yeah, there's just certain things there's certain stuff that you use enough that you can warrant buying. There's other things you're like, the big studios, you got to realize is they don't buy their cameras. They don't buy shit. They rent everything.
Yeah.
Hey, your favorite, every single movie you're seeing in the movie theaters is on a rented gear, rented lights, rented everything. Because it's not, and if they deem it's in their best interest not to be buying stuff, then.
No, you're right. I just needed to buy the essentials.
Yeah,
things,
you need the essentials.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So I have the essentials right now, and moving forward, I'm gonna go ahead and start renting. And what about lighting? You also do lighting?
Yeah, absolutely. If you're gonna do camera, you need to do lighting. Big fan of lighting. It's very fun.
Well, I know the basic lighting, if you want to call it, rule is the key light. Then you have the filler, and then you have the rim light.
Okay.
So are these the requirements for any set?
No, absolutely not. I've been on sets with other DPs that they only use their key light is always behind the actor, and so then I guess that takes care of the rim light because it's behind them.
Okay.
And then sometimes she would wrap stuff around, but she was just adamant about always having the light behind the actors, and it was interesting. And we were in dark rooms, but it looked great because she had a really great camera that had a high dynamic range. But yeah, you don't have to follow any rules.
Okay, so you can make up your own rules. You just need to know how light works, I guess.
Yeah, and a lot of times you want to take away light too.
Okay.
There's multiple ways you could do. Well, a few ways you could do that. You could put in a negative fill. Here we bring in like a black sheet, like right here, and the closer you get to my face, it would start creating a shadow. Let's say we do on this side because this key light's here. Right now, my right side of the face is already brighter than my left because the light's right there, and that's the strongest light we have. But if you bring in a black shade, this shadow would just become more and more on me. Yeah. Even though, it's just negative fill.
Yeah, it depends on the scene, of course, if you want to be dramatic or if you want, And
here's another cool way you can do that, though, actually. You can continuously crank this up even higher and then just lower your exposure on your camera, and that will also create that. Without needing a negative fill, you can just make this twice as bright and then turn your exposure like, I guess if it's twice, it'd be a stop. So then you go down a stop, and then all of a sudden you would have more shadow on my side of my face.
Okay.
So that's kind of a cool thing.
That's good to know.
That is good to know, yeah. I'm real big on giant soft light. So what I do is I'll get a stand, like a C stand or something. I have the arm out horizontally, and I put a big piece of like a sheet over it, a cotton sheet. You can use a shower sheet. I use an unbleached one, so it keeps it a little more tungsten-y. Okay. And then I just blast a big ass light into that. If I have the space, I'll reflect it off something first and then go through that, and all that just softens it up more. But yeah, I just want a giant freaking light, and it just soft light. I like soft light. Okay. But it depends on the scene if it makes sense. Okay. Like that Apocalypse Now scene with Brando where half his face, you're gonna need a hard light to do that. Okay. You would just need a hard. You could do that with this light probably if you with the right diffusion and just have it very hard, because he had like a I don't know, you know what the scene I'm talking about, where he's in that cave.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah,
half
yeah,
his
yeah,
face.
yeah. Yes.
You would just have to be very distinctive with your cutting it. And you could put a one of those flags is what you call it, which is also looks like the negative fill, and just make sure no light's getting to his left side of his face.
I see.
But yeah, a hard light then.
So how do you approach capturing the director's vision? I mean, through the lens.
So typically there, I would have that conversation early, like before we're showing up. That's when we would talk like, hey, what kind of look are you going for here? What tone? Do you have anything to show to compare it to? Be like, oh, I want it to look like this, or this type of movie, or like, you know, whoever, like this cinematographer. And then we talk about it, and we talk about like, well, it's a comedy and stuff, like all that affects what you're doing and the lighting. And I take that into consideration, but like on the day when you're there, I just set up whatever shot I think is the best at portraying that and getting the information across. And then I show the director, and they will tweak it if they don't approve, or they're like, no, I want less shadow, or I want this part to be in it, or whatever. So a lot of times I just make a decision myself. I'm like, I think this is what's best, and I show it, and they're like, well, they either sign off on it or they don't. Yeah.
Okay. And did you like go to school for this, or is it all
No.
self-taught?
Well, I got into the Playhouse West film lab,
Okay.
so that's school.
Oh, you took that with Chris?
Yeah, it's a great.
Okay.
I recommend it to anybody.
Okay.
Did you take it?
I didn't take it. I should have taken it. But...
Well, it's gonna come up again in any month now.
Okay.
Yeah. So when he does, I recommend it because it's bang for your buck, the best film school there is. Because it's what?
I think it teaches you about the lenses, and it teaches you.
It's literally an entire accelerated film school in 10 weeks.
Okay.
So you learn like everything. And the big thing about film school is you want to shoot and make as many projects as you can, and you make a bunch there. That you make like 5 films.
Oh, wow.
In like 10 weeks. And a lot of them are very small. Like I think we start with a 3-second or 10-second shorts, but
10 seconds?
10-second shorts. So you got 10 seconds to tell something visually. It's incredible what you can do in 10 seconds. And then we go up to a minute, and then we go up to 3 minutes, I think is the last one. But yeah, you learn a lot. But regardless, the way I really learn and the way anybody learns is by doing. So that's why that school's so valuable, is you do a lot. And so I did do the film lab. I mentor in the film lab, which allows me to work on even more projects. But really, it's just about doing and learning, making mistakes.
Yeah, exactly.
Making 10 shitty films.
Yeah, exactly. That's I guess that's the rule. 10 films, then after that you're gonna start.
Hopefully 10. Yeah, sometimes it could be more, but sometimes there's people that do less. So, but yeah, I think, yeah, that's how I learned. It's by doing.
All right. So, well, talking about the 10 films and talking about learning, yeah, but any challenges and challenges and solutions. Have you ever had a challenge on a set where was it like a big challenge? And if you can just tell us a little bit about it, and the solution that you took to resolve the issue.
Yeah, there's always challenges, right? As you know, as we were looking for that remote earlier, there's always something missing, something breaks, something just isn't working. You've got wind coming, you've got extreme heat, extreme cold.
The neighbors are talking.
Neighbors, yeah. The landscapers, they just won't shut the fuck up. Construction crews, you're like, what are you gonna do? Yeah, it's part of it. I think the biggest thing is to know that you're usually, if you're in charge of the camera, and depending on the size of the crew, you're in a leadership position. So like that's the biggest thing, is making sure everyone's feeling good. Like you want a good energy on set. We want everyone bringing their best. You want people to be engaged, and you want to do a good job being a leader. So I think that's really important. And and there could be troubles there where you're like, you're getting tired and stuff like that, and you're losing your cool, or feeling the stress, and you're like, no, I gotta like keep level-headed and make sure we keep making decisions here, and they're solid decisions and they make sense, and we keep going. Or if your crew's breaking stuff, like I gotta go and tell the producers or whoever that, hey, we broke something.
Yeah. Okay, so on the set, like right now, we're using a boom mic as a backup, and we're using the lavalier mics.
Yeah.
Do you ever do that? Do you use the lavalier mics and the boom
Yeah, every time.
every time?
Well, if I can.
Okay,
Boom's king, always.
it's better than lavalier.
Yes, I
Okay.
think. Depends for what. Like for these talk shows, maybe not, because sometimes you don't want. Obviously, we're not zoomed in super, or we're not really wide, so then you can't see this boom above us.
Yes.
But in some cases, they have a camera there, and they're like, well, we don't want to see that. So then you're like, okay, well, we kind of have to use lavs now.
Okay.
But boom, yeah, it's usually they're hardwired in. Not always though. Actually, a lot of people go wireless there, but it's just better safe than sorry. And then you can phase the two tracks together, and it sounds even more full.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's in post. You do
that's
that.
in post. Yeah, that's actually one of the most fascinating things I've learned in the last year, because I went to a post sound house where this lady was giving a seminar, and I'm like, how the hell are you making your dialogue sound so clean and clear? And she's like, it's all about the phase.
Okay.
And I'm like, really? I'm like, it's not like the denoising, because I was always under the impression you only want to use one. So it would be the boom if you can, but if you like are in a pinch and need to use the lavs, you mix it in. But she was just saying, yeah, you want to it's all about the phase and like mixing the two together, and it just made crystal clear audio. I was very impressed by that.
Well, do you use, like, I know Adobe has what's the name of it for sound?
Audition?
Audition, I think, and the Final Cut, not Final. Apple has Logic,
Yes.
right? So do you use any of the software?
I'll use Audition, and then I use something called Isotope RX.
Okay.
Where if something's troubling, I would send it into there, clean it up, and then send it back into Audition. If it's a small short, if it's a really like an interview or something, I don't really use Audition too much.
Okay.
But if it's a short film and you want to make a sound design, multi-track, then yeah, I would use Audition, or I've used Pro Tools before. Lots of options.
What
there.
about Logic?
I'm not familiar with it, but that also would work.
I'm not familiar with it. I'm familiar with Final Cut Pro,
Okay.
but I know it does. It's really great. But I use Premiere Pro.
Yeah.
I have Premiere Pro, but that's the only thing I use. I don't use Audition or the other one for the effects.
Oh, After Effects?
After Effects.
Yeah.
I don't have that one. I just have the Premiere Pro, and this is what I do.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. That's what I use on every podcast I edit. I'm editing a pilot right now on Premiere. We just shot something yesterday, and I'm probably going to use DaVinci for that, just because we need to color it, and it's a little easier to color in DaVinci. Maybe not easier, it's just you can do more.
They say DaVinci is the best.
It's what they say. I'm not convinced that's the case yet for editing.
Okay.
I'm not convinced, but for coloring, it absolutely is. To be honest, I think their sound is pretty good too. The way their sound is, it's all built into the same thing, where I have to send it to Audition, and then Audition they have some major updates that are lacking. So maybe Audition will catch up there, but I do think color and sound is better in DaVinci.
Okay, so for a feature film, if it's 10 minutes or 15 minutes or 5 minutes, you recommend that someone that is, working on a feature film to have Audition, not just Premiere Pro.
Well, real quick, feature films usually mean over 50 minutes.
Not feature film.
A narrative film. Short film.
Short
okay.
film.
Just want to, okay. You don't have to. Okay. It makes things, you can do more.
It makes it better, right? Like to have Audition, then...
I was going to say it makes it easier, but you have to learn the curve to do it. So at first, if you're not familiar with it, it's going to be creating a hell of a lot more work for you. But when it comes to like layering in Foley and to do all this stuff, literally what they call that is a sound design. And you throw it on after you have a picture lock, you would want that. You would want to use Audition or Logic or Pro Tools or whatever.
Okay, and can you tell us, going back to the equipment, your equipment, can you tell us what kind of equipment? Because I know you have more than one camera.
Yeah.
You have Canon, I think, and you have
I got the Canon 5D Mark IV,
okay.
which I actually love to even shoot video with it if I have the option. I've got 3 Panasonic GH5s. From my experience, it's one of the cheapest and best, or the cheapest 4K camera that's good. So one of mine is actually the GH5S. So that's a little more cinema-y. When you throw one of the ninjas on it, you can shoot, what was it, 12-bit, which is very good, 12-bit, and then for coloring and stuff like that, it's good. But to be honest with you, man, my favorite camera that I have and what I want to use more often is the iPhone.
The iPhone?
Yes. I actually have 3, I have 3 iPhones, one's for personal use, but 2 of them I shoot with, and I shoot with them quite often. And again, small footprint, minimal lighting needed because it does a lot of stuff, and it looks pretty freaking good, especially with they got Apple Log now.
Okay.
So I shot yesterday with the iPhone. I know a lot of commercials shoot with iPhone. It's becoming a real thing.
Wow, I never used it for anything like this. I mean, I use it for.
What do you have? Which one?
I have the 14.
It's 15 is where it makes the jump. So 15 and 16, which is identical. So no need to get the 16. You're cool with the 15.
Okay.
That's where you can shoot an Apple Log. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's impressive.
I think when I get an iPhone again, I think I'm gonna get the 18.
Okay.
The 14 right now is good. Then I have other cameras.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to know that the iPhone does a really amazing job.
It does. It does. I mean, think about it, you don't need to be changing lenses on it. I had to make my own ND filter for it. But yeah, I'm very, very impressed, and I like to see, like, I'm all about the smaller the package, the better. Just make it as small as possible.
Yeah, simple as possible. But you said something about the ND filters.
Yeah.
You made it yourself?
Well, yeah. So I got this. I have a magnet here.
Okay.
So I take that off, and then I have this on my all the other cameras too. But I got this thing it'll magnetize on here, and then it's like over the thing, and then I put a variable ND filter on that. It screws into it.
Okay.
You can buy these pieces separate. Like I bought it. Like I just kind of assembled it together, and then now I have a variable ND, and then I'll just turn it. It's not foolproof, but it works pretty dang good.
Oh, wow.
Because that's the biggest issue with the iPhone is shooting when it's really blown out.
Yeah.
Because you can't change the iris. You can't make the aperture. You can't change that.
Well, for now.
For now.
You can.
Good point.
Yeah, maybe in the future they'll go ahead and fix it because they're doing a really good job. They just came out with the 16E.
Yeah, I saw that.
I haven't seen the phone itself, but I saw a small video, like 2-minute video, and it looks really good.
And that's supposed to be the lower end, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's 16E. It's affordable.
Yeah.
It starts with like $599, something like
cool.
this. But they were talking about the camera, and they were saying a lot of good things about the camera. So that might be another phone right now that we can use.
You know what I'm excited about? I want to see like one of these mirrorless cameras, but I want to see it be as good as like a Arri Alexa from like 5 years ago. And I think it'll happen here in the next 5 years. I really do. I think that's technology is improving so much.
It is.
That when you'll have a little ass camera that you can, put any lens you want on it, but its sensor will have so many stops of dynamic range. It'll be as good as like an Arri Alexa from 5 years ago.
Also, you're an actor.
Yeah.
Like you went to Playhouse West. That's where we met. And are you acting right now, or?
Yeah, I was actually on a big hiatus. I wasn't feeling too motivated with it for a while. I was at the school for about 5.5 years, and I just wasn't enjoying going to class anymore. And I'm like, I think, and that's a me problem. It had nothing to do with the school. It was just like, I need to change something. So I quit. I didn't act for 7 months, but I just kind of started putting more energy towards that. I did a table read last weekend. I'm in a small bit part in a play that's going to be at Playhouse. So technically I'm back in class during the next month while we do that. But it's on my radar to start doing it more often. I do love it. I'm fascinated by human psychology. And what about you, Mike? You got anything coming up?
I do. I'm working on a short film, and hopefully I'm going to do it this year, maybe before summer. But it's going to be like a maybe 10 to 15 minute movie. and I'm almost done with the script. It's something that I wanted to do. I have like three projects in mind, but this one I just want to go ahead and do within, I would say, a couple of months from now.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm looking for a location, looking for actors, and it will be a paid gig. Not a lot of money, but it will be something.
So let's talk about that. I actually really agree with that. When you're first starting out, this is kind of what we teach you at the film lab, is to shoot for free with your friends. Don't waste money on stuff if you don't need to. But then after a certain point, you want to start setting the path to be a professional.
Yeah.
And that means people need to be compensated for their time.
Exactly.
And because it's weird, because if you want to work in this industry, it's like you want to be paid for your time. So it's like, why would you want to have people on and not pay them for their time? Even if it's something small, like $100 or whatever it is you can afford. I do agree with that. Putting that energy forward and starting to raising the bar in every project or every 5 projects to where like people are getting paid a little bit more, because that's what it happens on the big boy sets. And then when people get paid and when there's money involved, like there's more skin in the game. It's less dicking around. And I think that makes people rise to their like higher potential.
I absolutely agree with you. I mean, we've done short movies here and there, and we worked when we used to go to Playhouse West. We did short movies, the 120.
Yeah.
What do you call it? Competition.
Yeah.
And it was all for free. I mean, you evolve and you move up a notch. So yeah, it has to be paid. Like you said, it's not going to be a lot of money.
Sure.
But it has to be something, because you're going to be in my movie, you're giving me your time, I have to, compensate you somehow. And of course, they're going to get the credit, and they're going to get a copy of the movie, and of course, pay, and the meals for the day. So I think that's a fair game.
It is.
Yeah.
And that's because that's the industry standard. It's like, do you want to be part of that, or you want to be operating out? And there are some people that get away with that. With those brothers, or there's a couple people that have made pretty big films where I guess they weren't paying anybody. They just were all a group of friends and they show up. But it's like, I don't know if you'd like to be the person in that group that's always doing sound, and it's like not getting paid. Like,
Yeah.
Cause it's not as rewarding as being the actor or the director.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A lot of people are willing to do it because they want to learn how to do it.
Yeah.
But then you need to pay these people.
After a couple months of that, they're going to be like, hey, I can't give you, because these film shoots, you're lucky. It's a short day when it's under 12 hours. That's a short day. You're like, yesterday we shot in 10, and I didn't even think of it. I was like, oh, we got out early is the way I looked at it. But like the rest of the country, a 10-hour day is kind of like, all right, that's a long day.
It is a long day. A 10-hour day is a long day. I try to make it a 6-hour day.
Oh, I love that.
But I don't think if that's possible, especially when you go to the desert. I mean, last time I shot with Eric and Julian, we were there the whole day.
Yeah.
The whole day. I mean, you'd think you would finish in like 3-4 hours. That's not the case. Before you know it, it's like 6 hours. Like, oh my God. Well, I try to make it 6 hours, but sometimes it doesn't work. Unless it's one scene.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then again, it comes down to equipment. If you're shooting with the iPhone and all you got to do is just move the camera, this light ass camera, then that's easy. But if you got, hey, we got to change lenses and like, oh, we got to get this lighting a little stronger to make it look good. It's like every single angle just takes. And the other thing is playback. You want to watch all these scenes over and over.
Exactly.
Those add up. You watch 31-minute scenes like that's, or 31-minute takes or something. That's 30 minutes out of your day. So out of your 6 hours,
Yeah.
that's 1/12 just gone. Like the little things, like every minute adds up. And especially if you're using the sun, like you're worried about it going down, because once that goes down, you're fucked.
Yeah.
Like if you've been shooting in it all day.
And when you go to the desert, for example, I keep saying the desert because I like shooting in the desert, but I cannot take the lights with me. The only thing I can take is the camera, the boom mic, and maybe the lavaliers and the Zoom H5, and that's it.
You could take battery lights.
I mean, yeah, I don't have them though.
Okay.
I mean, I have to buy it.
Sure.
But as of right now, I don't have them. So I'm dependent on the sun, on the natural light, and just to make the best out of it. But I don't know. You think that's would you be able to do something professional without the lights, or you need the lights?
No, like you said, you could use the sun and you could have reflectors and bounces and stuff like that. that having some little like MC lights or tube lights would be helpful in some areas, but in the desert you're probably just diffusing light.
Yeah.
You know, that's the hardest part is because the sun is so bright, so strong that like everything's blown out. So on the big boy sets, they got these huge like mesh looking things or whatever, and they just diffuse the crap out of the sun.
Yeah.
But we won't have a cherry picker or whatever to hold that up, a forklift or whatever it is that holds that up.
Yeah.
You know.
So when I shot the job with Eric and Julian, if you look at the movie, it's on YouTube, but if you look at the movie, it's all blown out, like you said. And when I came back, I was working on it in Final Cut Pro, and I'm like, it's not looking that good, but this is how you learn.
Yeah.
I need an ND filter. I didn't know what an ND filter is that, back then, but now I know, and I use it on all my cameras right now when I'm shooting video. But yeah, that makes a big difference.
So then, yeah, when you bring that ND filter in, because the sun's so strong, but but that lowers the exposure on everything. So, but now that's when you'd want to bring in one of these lights to kind of help brighten up the subject.
Yeah.
Because the background's so freaking bright, you had to use your ND filter to bring that down. But now that's bringing your subject down. So that's when you'd want to punch in some sort of light or get a reflector, anything you can to kind of get to boost your subject light. If that's the look you're going for, you don't have to do that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You need a lot of help when you do these things. You need a lot of people on the set. I mean, I've been on sets, and you see people running like ants. They're going here, they're going there. Be like, what are these people are doing when you go on the set for the first time? But each and every one of them has a specific job that they have to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, you don't see that. But then after a while, you'll be like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I agree. I remember my first time on set, I'm like, there's so much fat that needs to be trimmed here, thinking like in business terms, but not really. Like a lot of those jobs, other than some of the food stuff, I think you could trim that. But you need all those grips. You need like these guys that can move stuff and shape the light and then run electricity into this warehouse that's been abandoned. And yeah, you need people.
Yeah.
You need PAs to go get the drive when something fails, like run to Best Buy or wherever you need to go.
Yeah. So going back to your acting, do you think that cinematography and using the camera, you're a sound guy as well, do you think all that is helping you with your acting?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it does. In some ways, I don't want to admit, because I remember always watching, or in class, you'd always be like, I just want to be real, But then you see, I guess maybe if it's not the most realist, because I don't know, you need to see contrast and stuff. And you see that when you're the cinematography, like you need to you want to visually see changes and stuff. And as the actor, you know that now. It's like, okay, they need to see this transformation. You just can't be like, I don't know if one note's the right word, but you really... I don't know, just how storytelling shows, because it is a visual medium. And yeah, it absolutely helps with the acting, because it's like, okay, well, if this is where we're ending, like I need to see it. Yeah, it's fat. I think they all help each other. Like writing absolutely helps directing and even acting, and then like acting helps directing and writing. Like they all really help each other. Yeah. So that's why I think it's so fascinating to do all of it, because they help each other. It helps you learn, especially directing and writing. Like, oh my goodness, like, because a lot of times writers aren't thinking like a director, and then it just becomes very dialogue heavy and all these things. But when you're thinking more as a director, you can kind of see the shots and you can be like, how can I convey this visually? Because again, this is a visual medium.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And when you direct a movie, and if you call people to audition, you'll start seeing a different perspective, not just from the actor's perspective, just from the director perspective, from the producer perspective. The big companies that they want to hire you, why should they hire you as an actor? I mean, you have to bring your A game, as they say. So when you do all that from the other side, you'll be like, oh, now I get it.
And you can save shots when you're on set. And I know... hitting my chest where my lob is could most likely they're gonna have a boom, you're gonna be cool, but you just know to not do certain things, or like, hey, I know I'm a cinematographer. If I like start turning off to you and start talking like this, I know the camera's not gonna be able to see me.
Yeah.
So it's like knowing stuff like that, you can save takes. You come off more professional.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It will make you a better, it's going to make you a better actor, director. I don't know if there's one word to say you're going to make you a better, creative person, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that all feeds to each other, and being competent on set. Yeah, I agreed.
All right. And some of the filmmakers, actors, or cinematographers that you watch all the time, or listen to, or you want to learn from them, do you have any?
Well, actors, yeah, I always was fascinated by James Dean and Brando as well, but I think James Dean's my favorite. He just was able to just be so present, and you can tell a good actor by their voice and how good they do still photos, in my opinion. So if they're able to like get something across in like their headshots and like their stills, you can just tell like, okay, they're giving something off there.
Some kind of personality?
They're like radiating or some sort of emotion. Their personalities, yeah, is another good. Giving off an energy.
Okay.
I think the greats can do that. And then the greats typically also have very their words, the voices are very expressive.
Okay.
So those are that. So this is what's cool about being a sound guy too, is when you're a sound guy, you're always in the room when shit's getting shot. So a lot of times you might be in a small room and it's like only essentials, like scripty can't be in there, like even the guy pulling focus can't be in there. He's got to be outside the room. But as a sound guy, like I was always in the room, and I'd just be watching the camera guy. I'd always be next to the camera. And so I learned a lot from just watching all these other DPs and stuff on all these short films I worked on over the last 5 years. So I'm fascinated by all DPs. Like I told you that one earlier that only uses the key light behind the actors. I thought that was interesting, and I'm always asking questions. So I like them all.
Okay. So if you want to get a job as a DP, like on a professional set, do you have any idea how to go about that?
Yeah, I guess my best is kind of what I'm going towards, that is just doing more and more at like the smaller level, and then you work your way up to a medium level, and then you work bigger and bigger. I think that's the best bet. I mean, I guess you could go try to be someone's like intern or their AC, but I don't think that's the way to do it, because then you're going to be seen as the AC. You're like you're the camera operator. You're not the DP. And then I've been on sets before where they're like, that's what you get when you hire an AC to be your DP. And I was like, shit, like that was cold because the guy made a mistake. But I think your best bet is just to keep getting reps in by being a DP on small shit, even if you got to be free. DP is one at the beginning you probably do got to do for free.
Well, going back to the free jobs, huh?
Yeah, at the beginning. And then after that, like you're going to have a camera of your own, most likely. And then you're like, well, hey, at least pay me my kit fee for my camera, because I mean, I didn't spend thousands of dollars on this shit for nothing.
Yeah.
And then, but yeah, just be a DP on smaller stuff and work your way up to bigger stuff. And then I think that's the route. If I end up being like a pro DP someday, that'd be the route I'm going to get there.
Okay. So once I took a class, that was like years ago, at the SAG Conservatory. The teacher himself was a camera guy. And I think someone asked him, how can I become a camera guy? Or how can I become, how can I work in the room as a reader, or maybe as, operating the camera when actors come in for, to do an audition. And he said, part of it is who you know. If you know if you have connections, I guess, then you can go ahead and get these jobs. It'll be interesting to know how, someone with no connections how can they get the job?
Well, I'll tell you what you should do. Go to a place like Playhouse. I'm not even plugging the film lab. I'm just the regular school, an acting school, where you've got a surplus of actors who are going to be wanting to shoot stuff. You go to that school, you can be their camera guy. like you're in the class with them, so you're part of their crew. But every time they shoot, like they're going to call you to be camera because you're not going to be competing against anybody there. It's slim pickings. Like they'll all be competing against each other on who's acting, but they'll all be using you as the camera guy. So I think going to acting school as a DP or as a director or even a writer is a very smart thing to do.
No, it is definitely, and you can, you can collaborate with a lot of actors that, they want to be on camera,
And they'll spend the money.
and they'll spend
They'll spend the money to make their short films come to life. But yeah, they're going to need a camera guy. And if you're the camera guy and you do a good job, you keep a good attitude, they'll keep using you and you'll get your 10 shitty films out of the way real quick.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's a really good point. And so, any long-term goals in both acting and cinematography for you?
Yeah, I wanna write and produce a feature film, which I want to act in and obviously direct it as well. So yeah, that's the goal. I want to write, act, direct, and produce a feature film, multiple feature films. I like comedies. I want to bring back those like R-rated comedies. They're already starting to come back, but like your Wedding Crashers, your Old School, stuff like that. A little less PC.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And what about short-term goals? Do you have any short-term goals?
That's a great question. I want to make more shorts with my shorts that I'm like proud. And so as I'm becoming more of a filmmaker and dabbling in directing, and you kind of start to figure out what your style is,
Okay.
and what you're into, what your vibe is, and like kind of your bread and butter. So I feel like I'm starting to kind of figure that out. And so I want to experiment more with that, especially in the short films, lower budget stuff, and shoot it with people that I like love to be around and be really proud of it.
Okay. So have you done your 10 movies yet?
If you include a lot of like those really small 10-second ones like from Film Lab, then yeah. But I would say no, I got a couple more. I got a couple more shitbags.
All right. And you have, I know you're a surfer.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you surf. Are you a professional level or no?
No, I'm not professional level, but I have a lot of fun with it. I'm very intrigued in it, and I take it serious. Like I like to study it in certain ways, and I have goals there where I'm trying to level up and do different maneuvers and stuff like that.
Okay. Where do you guys go? I know you go to Huntington Beach sometimes.
I'll be going there tomorrow, yeah.
Oh, really? Okay. So they have competitions over there.
They do, but I don't feel ready for that. The guys are so good there.
Okay.
Yeah, and we'll be surfing next to them tomorrow. Like these guys are like fantastic, and you kind of know to stay out of their way.
Okay, so you never been in a competition?
No, I haven't.
So do you have to have like a some kind of qualifications to do that, or you just sign up?
I think anyone can sign up for some of them.
Okay.
Some of them you have to like earn your way into.
Oh, of course, yeah.
But yeah, there's opens, and then there might be qualifying and stuff. And yeah, I guess like I've never thought about it, but yeah, that could be something I do someday just for the hell of it. Say I competed.
Yeah.
Maybe like a longboard competition or something.
I know, like you surf what, once a week at least?
Probably closer to 3.
3 times a week?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so you are a surfer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Been since COVID. Yeah.
Oh, since COVID.
So that's when I started, yeah.
Now, before COVID, you didn't surf.
I always wanted to. I'm like, well, I've been out here 7 years. It's like, well, if I'm out here, I want to surf. So I had a surfboard. I bought it, but I went maybe like twice. Got hurt.
Okay.
And I'm like, I don't know, maybe this isn't for me. Then COVID came.
Okay.
Kathleen, who was like my acting teacher, she's like, hey, I surf all the time. Why don't you come with me? And then my best friend joined us. And a couple other people came and went. And we just started surfing. Back then, you could go every day because you had nothing else to do. There's no traffic. It's like you just got a shit ton of reps really, really quick. And
you go early in the morning, like
have
5?
to.
You have to. That's the way.
Not 5. I wake up at 5:30 usually, and then just kind of drink some water and jump in the car.
Okay.
But yeah.
Because you find the big waves early in the morning, right?
Well, the main reason is traffic. That's the main reason I go early.
Okay.
Waves, there's less wind typically in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
So, but so it's less blown out. So it is better riding in the morning.
Okay.
But it also depends on tide. So sometimes later in the morning's better.
Okay. That's good to know.
Yeah, you thinking about doing it?
I'm thinking about doing it, but I never. I never have. But it's something to. Once I thought about it, and I went and I wanted to buy a board, but I didn't, and I kept saying next year, next year, next year, next year.
Yeah, that's what happened to me. And then eventually, you just need someone you just got to do it. You can come with us anytime. Here's the thing, I tell anyone to come anytime, and they're always like, yeah, I'll do it, but no one ever takes us up on it.
So it's you, Kathleen, and who else?
My best bud, Dallas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All three of you, huh?
Yeah. We're called the Goon Squad.
Maybe one day I'll come with my camera and I'll just take a video.
We have every once in a while we have someone come and take pictures and stuff, but we haven't got lucky where there's good surf when they come. So they come and it's like a shitty day, and then we get like pictures of us on like 2-foot waves. That's about it. But yeah, we would always love that.
Is there anything you would like to add?
If there's anything I'd like to add. I would just say for anyone that's aspiring to be a camera, like a filmmaker, essentially, just make stuff. Don't be afraid of it. Don't let perfection get in your way, because it's most likely gonna suck, and that's okay. Do your best. Take your beatings. Learn. Ask questions, and don't be afraid to just shoot with your iPhone. You don't need fancy shit. Just shoot with your iPhone, shoot things that you want to shoot. And yeah, just you'll learn. You might not even know what you want to shoot, but by just making yourself do it, you'll learn what you want to shoot.
See, that's a really good point, what you said now. You said it doesn't have to be perfect. You're going to make a lot of mistakes, because you will. Anytime you're on the set, and we were talking before we started shooting this, I had a guest, and he's an established actor, and he was in really big movies, and he said even big productions, because I had something happened with the microphone where we had to restart again, and he said even big productions, they have these issues. You would be surprised, like Warner Brothers or Paramount or maybe Sony. They're on the set, they're doing something, and something happens, or they forgot to push a button or whatever, and they have to redo it again. So if big companies make mistakes, we're going to make mistakes as well. So
great point.
Yeah, making mistakes is inevitable. It's going to happen. So you just have to learn and keep going forward.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. What about you? You have anything you want to add?
Well, I just want to say thank you for, showing up here today. It's, great talking to you always. And I'm looking forward to collaborate with you on future projects, and future films. Not feature films, short films. I keep saying.
I thought you said future films, so that works.
Okay.
Yeah.
future short films.
Okay.
So yeah, as I said, I have something coming up soon, and I think you're gonna be a part of it. So cheers to that.
Cheers, man. I'm happy to be part of it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, sincerely, thank you for having me on. It's cool.
Of course.
Love talking shop. Yeah.
Yeah.